Palestinian resistance movement Hamas released 6 Israeli hostages as part of the 7th prisoner exchange since the beginning of the ceasefire in the Gaza Strip. In Germany, hundreds take to the streets of Berlin to protest against the far right hours before the general election. And trade unions in Argentina condemn President Javier Milei's decision to transform the national bank into a joint stock company. Hello, welcome from the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news. Hamas released 6 Israeli hostages in exchange of 602 Palestinians detained in Israeli prisons in the final swap on the first phase of the ceasefire. These 6 are the last from a group of 33 to be freed by Hamas in phase 1 of the ceasefire, in effect since January the 19th. According to Hamas, 445 of the Palestinians released by Israel had been detained by Israeli forces during its war on Gaza, and the remainder are dozens who had been serving lengthy sentences, including life terms. The fragile ceasefire had been threatened with derailment over the misidentification of a body released on Thursday as that of Shiri Bibas, who was taken captive with her 2 young sons and husband on October 7, 2023. Late on Friday, Hamas handed over Bibas' body, which her family said had been confirmed to be hers. Meanwhile, one of the Israelis released by Hamas kissed 2 Palestinian resistance fighters on the forehead, a gesture that was celebrated by the crowd present during the ceremony in Nuseirat. The 3 released Israelis appeared smiling, showing good physical condition, greeting those present before being greeted by representatives of the Red Cross. And Palestinian authorities denounced Israeli genocide in refugee camps in the north of the West Bank and in the city of Jenin. Local media denounced that the Israeli army committed extrajudicial executions, demolitions, and forced displacements in Tulkarem refugee camp. They also pointed out that the aggression against the city of Jenin and its refugee camp continues, resulting in the murder of at least 27 Palestinians. Authorities denounced that these actions are part of the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's regime's intention to perpetrate more crimes against the Palestinian people. And in Gaza Strip, a 3rd vaccination campaign against polio is underway. According to the Gazan Health Ministry, the campaign will be carried out for 3 consecutive days so as to vaccinate all children under the age of 10. Although the local health ministry is leading the initiative, it has asked the United Nations for support to guarantee the health of all children in Gaza. Health Authority has also thanked Palestinian media for their support in helping distribute the necessary information on the vaccination campaign and on the spread of viruses. And the people of Lebanon prepare for the funeral of Lebanese leader and Hezbollah Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah after he was assassinated by Israeli forces on September 27, 2024. Beirut hosts thousands of people, organizations, and international media. During this Saturday, the young Lebanese expressed their respect and love to Nasrallah by providing food and drinks to the people arriving to the city. The funeral activities are expected to begin this Sunday, February 23rd, at the Camille Chamoun Sports City Stadium, from where he will be transferred to his grave.
Our souls belong to the Sayyid, and we are walking on his path in his footsteps. We are deeply heartbroken because we are not with him. We are in deep pain because we have been orphaned without him, the Sayyid. We have now become orphans.
Today we have come to reaffirm and renew our pledge to the master of the resistance, the martyred Sayyid, that we will continue, and we will continue stronger than ever before.
The UN Special Envoy reaffirms the call for an immediate ceasefire in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. The UN mission in Kinshasa condemns the ongoing aggressions resulting from escalating clashes between armed groups and the Congolese army. The UN official insisted on the search for a safe and dignified solution together with the international community that guarantees respect for human rights. Congolese government affirms that the rebels have the support of Rwanda, which facilitated the control of 2 cities in South Kivu. We now have a first short break coming up, but first remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English. There you'll be able to find news updates in different formats and much more. We'll be right back. Stay with us. Welcome back. The United Nations Security Council urged Rwanda to stop supporting the M23 armed group and to withdraw immediately from Congolese territory without preconditions. The Council reiterated its call on all parties to reach a ceasefire as called for by leaders in Eastern and Southern Africa. They urged the Democratic Republic of the Congo and Rwanda to return without preconditions in order to achieve a lasting solution to the conflict in the region. The situation in the east of the Democratic Republic of the Congo has deteriorated since January as M23 fighters advanced into North and South Kivu provinces, extending the crisis into Ituri.
C'est que, comme on le constate, il a fallu beaucoup de temps au Conseil pour réunir les consensus, certes.
The Council took a lot of time to act, and to act unanimously. But now the Council has been able to move things forward, and therefore, on behalf of the government of DRC, and on behalf of all the boys and girls of the DRC, in particular those from Bunagana in Kamanyola, including Goma, Sake, Minova, Nyabibwe, Kale, Kavumu and Bukavu, I would like to thank all the members of the Council.
The permanent representative of France to the United Nations, Nicolas de Rivière, emphasized the importance of achieving the complete withdrawal of Rwandan forces.
The Rwandan forces must, without delay, withdraw from Congolese territory as has already been declared by the United Nations Secretary-General, as well as the members of the Security Council. MONUSCO needs to be able to carry out the mandate for the benefit of the civilian population without being obstructed in its efforts or its freedom of movement. This resolution recalls the clear role of the Luanda and the Nairobi processes with a view to reaching a sustainable political solution hinging on the complete withdrawal of Rwandan forces and the dismantling of the FDLR.
And the Vatican Secretary of State denies a possible resignation of Pope Francis after being hospitalized for 8 days due to bilateral pneumonia. Cardinal Pietro Parolin described as inappropriate the speculations about the supposed resignation of the Pope and urged to pray for his health and recovery. He also assured that the Pope will have to remain in the hospital for the next 7 days until he is cured of his bilateral pneumonia and can continue treatment at his residence. The doctor in charge of the Gemelli Hospital in Rome, Sergio Alfieri, warned that the Pope is not out of danger due to the polymicrobiological infection that could pass into the bloodstream and produce sepsis. However, he stressed that despite his health condition, the Pope maintains a healthy condition and a resilient attitude.
The abdominal area is fine, okay? Because obviously, if you do a CT scan of the chest, you also see the abdomen. So from that point of view, everything is fine. As for the heart, as I said before, an evaluation was done upon admission. Another one was performed, and others were done with the team of Professor Brzada, who is the head of cardiology, and he has a strong heart. When we say that the Pope is fragile, at the same time, he has incredible resilience. How many others would have endured all these infections with his workload?
In Germany, hundreds of people took to the streets of Berlin to protest against the far right just hours before the general elections. Demonstrators took to the streets of the capital to reject hatred and intolerance, which in their opinion the far right political party Alternative for Germany represents. During the demonstration, German authorities deployed hundreds of police officers to stop the advance of the rally. Recent polls suggest that the far right will be the second most voted option in the general elections and will double its results with respect to those obtained in 2021. And on Friday, U.S. President Donald Trump fired the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Air Force General C.Q. Brown, saying he will nominate Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Kane. President Donald Trump fired the top U.S. general just before his Secretary of Defense fired other generals. This comes amid a campaign to dismantle military leaders who support diversity and fairness in military ranks. Brown was the second Afro-American general to serve as chairman, and his public support of Black Lives Matter made him fodder for the administration's war against diversity. Trump says he will appoint Dan Kane, an Air Force Lieutenant General, as the next leader of the Joint Chiefs of Staff. In Argentina, authorities report several active forest fires outbreaks in the Chubut, Neuquén, and Rio Negro regions. Firefighting efforts continue to put out the flames that razed nearly 2,700 hectares of forest. So far, the investigation points to at least 3 starting points of the fire, which reinforces the hypothesis that the fires were intentionally set off. In this sense, authorities affirm that they will get to the facts in order to identify those responsible. We have a second short break coming up. Before we invite you to visit our YouTube channel, teleSUR English, there you'll be able to rewatch our interviews, top stories, special broadcastings, and more. Hit the subscribe button and activate the notification bell to stay up to date on the world's most recent events. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back. Trade unions in Argentina condemn President Javier Milei's decision to transform the national bank into a joint stock company. Through a communique, the Central Workers Union of Argentina and other organizations pointed out that the privatization of the national bank is another scam by Milei's administration. They also urged the blocs of both chambers of Congress to protect the assets of Argentinians and revoke the law of basis before it harms the nation. This comes after the news of President Javier Milei's involvement in a multi-million-dollar cryptocurrency scam. And in Brazil, the authorities of Sao Paulo declared a dengue epidemic state on Friday after the number of dengue fever cases reached a level higher than the World Health Organization's reference mark. According to the WHO, the minimum limit for declaring a state of epidemic is an incidence of 300 cases per 100,000 inhabitants, and the Health Secretariat of Sao Paulo reported an incidence of 303 cases per 100,000. As of Friday, the state of Sao Paulo counts more than 134,000 cases of dengue fever and 126 deaths, although another 87,000 cases and 252 deaths are under investigation for a possible relation with the disease. And the security crisis in Ecuador has claimed the life of over 40 minors in this past month of January alone. The crimes occurred in 21 districts in 8 provinces, including Guayas, where 14 children and adolescents were killed. Most of the crimes were executed with firearms. So far this year, there are over 1,000 violent deaths reported in Ecuador, despite President Daniel Noboa having declared a state of internal armed conflict under the pretext of fighting organized crime. And in Honduras, the Public Prosecutor's Office has carried out several house raids north of the country to capture drug traffickers wanted by the United States. Honduran authorities deployed at least 15 operations in communities in the Colón department aimed at dismantling criminal gangs. Police has offered a reward for any lead on the whereabouts of several members of criminal organizations included in the list provided by the United States. Meanwhile, the Prosecutor's Office has restated its commitment to fight organized crime and Honduran cartels. And the government of Nicaragua paid tribute to the General of Free Men and national hero Augusto César Sandino on the 91st anniversary of his assassination. Sandino is considered a reference in the defense of Nicaraguan sovereignty and national dignity. President Daniel Ortega highlighted Sandino's work and his unstoppable struggle for peace among nations. Likewise, during the event, Army General Julio César Áviles Castillo was sworn in as head of the Nicaraguan Army for the 2025-2031 term. And Mexico reaffirmed its commitment to the promotion of a more equitable and sustainable international order by participating in the meeting of G20. The Secretariat of Foreign Affairs informed through a statement the importance of respect for international law as a pillar for global stability. The delegation emphasized the need to strengthen multilateral mechanisms for the peaceful settlement of disputes and promote respect for sovereignty, and urged international community to prioritize the search for sustainable solutions to reduce inequality and strengthen food security. In Angola, preparations for the Luanda Carnival 2025 are progressing, one of the most awaited and celebrated festivities in the country. This year, the festival will celebrate the 50th anniversary of national independence with the participation of 39 groups. For the first time, the groups from the new province of Icolo and Bengo will be included. In spite of being the largest cultural manifestation in the country dating back to 1857, there is currently a growing concern about the event due to the increase of cholera cases, with more than 4,500 infected and 163 deaths. In Brazil, Carnival doesn't officially start for another week, but hundreds of thousands of people are out on the streets this weekend anyway. Our correspondent Brian Muir has more.
Hundreds of thousands of people have come out to the streets in many of Brazil's major cities today, including Recife, where I am, Olinda, our sister city, Salvador, Bahia, Rio de Janeiro, and São Paulo, to participate in the last weekend of traditional pre-carnival parties. Carnival begins officially at the stroke of midnight from Friday to Saturday of next week, meaning it's less than a week away, and people are already getting in the mood, coming out on the streets, dancing, putting on costumes, dancing behind their favorite kinds of drum beats like maracatu, samba, frevo here in Recife and Olinda as well. And it's really like the last weekend when people can go out and not be completely overwhelmed by the huge crowd. So it's more popular with families this weekend. But in general, people are just getting really into the carnival spirit this year. And teleSUR is going to be broadcasting from 3 different locations in Brazil during Carnival. Here in Recife, Olinda, which has the oldest and most traditional street carnival in Brazil, Salvador, which has the largest street carnival, and Rio de Janeiro, which is a world iconic city for carnival because of its escolas de samba. In addition, we'll be broadcasting from 6 other countries, including Trinidad and Tobago, Venezuela, and Uruguay, which all have long carnival traditions of their own. So stay tuned for teleSUR. Our carnival coverage begins next Friday.
We have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media on Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For teleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.